Chapter 2 The Steep Climb. Jack opened his eyes. The light was still gray, but the air was even damper and colder than in Frog Creek. "Wow, I'm in a long dress," said Annie. "It's scratchy. Hey, I've got a little purse up my belt. It has my library card in it." Jack looked down at his own clothes. He was wearing a shirt and trousers made of heavy wool. He also wore leather slippers, and in place of his backpack was a leather bag. "Wow," said Annie, looking out the window. "This really looks like the Dark Ages." Jack looked out too. He couldn't see anything through the mist. "It's just because the sun's not up yet," he said. "I'd better check the book." Annie handed the outline book to Jack. He opened it and read aloud. "The early Middle Ages were once known as the Dark Ages because learning and culture really vanished throughout Europe. Scholars today praise the brave Irish monks who helped keep Western civilization alive." "What do civilization and monks mean?" asked Annie. "I think civilization is when people have books and art and good manners," said Jack. "Monks are religious people who spend their time praying and reading and helping people." "Well, I don't see any civilization or monks out there," said Annie, pointing at the mist. Jack pulled out his notebook. He wrote, "Brave monks in Ireland." Then he looked at Annie. "If we find civilization, I think we'll find the lost story," he said. "Let's go," said Annie. She lifted her skirt and climbed out the window. Jack read more in the island book. The monks copied the ancient writings of the Western world. Before printing was invented, all books had to be written and copied by hand. "Hey, we're on a cliff," Annie called from outside, "above the ocean." "Be careful," said Jack. He stuffed the island book and his notebook into his leather bag. Then he climbed out the window. Annie was peering over the edge. Jack looked too. There was a rocky shore 20 feet below. Waves slapped against the rocks. Seagulls swooped and glided above the sea. "It doesn't look like there's any civilization down there," said Jack. "Maybe we should climb those," said Annie. She pointed to steep steps cut into the cliff. Jack looked up. The cliff also rose above them in the mist. "We better wait till the sun comes up," he said. "Let's just go super slow," said Annie. She started up the stone steps. "Wait, Annie," said Jack. "They might be slippery." "Wow," she said, almost falling backward. "I tripped on my darn dress." "I told you to wait," Jack said. "It's too dangerous." Just then something fell from above. "Watch it," said Jack. He put his hands over his head. "Hey, it's a rope," said Annie. Jack saw a thick rope dangling down the stairs. "Where did this come from?" "Where did this come from?" he asked. "It's like when Morgan dropped the letter to us," said Annie. "I bet something's trying to help us." "Yeah, but who?" said Jack. "Let's find out," said Annie. She grabbed the rope. "I'll use it first. Once I'm at the top, you can come after me." "Okay, but hurry," he said. "And be very careful." Jack waited as Annie started climbing up the steps. Annie held on to the rope as she climbed slowly up the stairs. Soon she vanished over the top of the cliff. "What's up there?" Jack shouted, but his voice was low. What's up there? Jack shouted, but his voice was lost in the sound of the waves. He grabbed the rope and started up the steep steps. At the top of the cliff, he pulled himself over the edge. Aha! Boomed a deep, jolly voice. It's another little invader.